If you loved Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII on PSP, get this remaster. If you didn't exactly love Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII on PSP, but still enjoy Final Fantasy VII, get this remaster. If you hated Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII story, but saw promise in the combat system and mechanics, you need to get this remaster. Some people might be wondering, why remakester Crisis Core? Well, with Final Fantasy VII Remake's series being a huge success, it's bringing all kinds of newcomers into the Final Fantasy VII universe for their very first time ever. So Square Enix figured to remaster Crisis Core because the story takes place around important events which lead up to the original game and now Final Fantasy VII Remake. Since they are expanding the Final Fantasy VII universe even further with other titles, many people missed out on Crisis Core originally because it was exclusive only on PlayStation Portable. And with the direction that Remake's story seems to be going, there are some important characters and scenes within Crisis Core they felt needed to be accessible for all fans, whether old or new, especially going forward into the future. If you're still on the fence about Crisis Core and you want to play it, join our giveaway for Crisis Core. We're giving away 5 copies on the channel, and in order to win, you need to be following us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and following us on Twitch. Good luck, everyone. Bonus entries if you are a paid member on YouTube, though. Gotta make sure to hook up my people. So, how does Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion stack up as a game? There are some issues, but there are also some insanely enjoyable upgrades, with the most obvious upgrade being the graphics. Shot for shot, frame by frame, this game is built on the same code of the PlayStation Portable version, which still unfortunately uses the PSP animations, which are hella dated, and you will notice that pretty much early on. However, with using Unreal Engine 4, they were able to improve the graphics so much in this game to where people can look at this and see it existing within the same universe as Final Fantasy VII Remake. The integration is borderline seamless and a great title for new fans to get into. I mean, it's a complete night and day difference with the graphics for this game. I've been playing it on PC in 4K 120 frames with a 3090 FTW graphics card. The graphical settings are very bare bones, just like Remake was, unfortunately, but I'm happy to see that it's running smooth without having to mod it much, like we had to do with Final Fantasy VII Remake on PC. By the way, Engine INI mods now exist because of Unreal Engine's source codes. So expect in a few weeks you guys can configure your graphics manually if you're on PC. Comment below if you want me to upload in the description so you guys can use it now. Shoutouts to Baby Seal and Amiibo Lad for putting this together. My personal favorite upgrade in this game definitely has to be the combat system. It's not like Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it's much better than the original Crisis Core was. No, seriously, I can't stress that enough. Originally, it was super clunky and stiff on PSP, so much so it made playing the game and doing missions and grinding in general feel like a chore that just was not enjoyable at all. You could not even move the camera around, that was not possible. But this time around, they threw in lots of quality of life changes in there. And just one thing to note, I will be making a full guide going in depth on combat fully in the future, but so far we have the general tips video out right now, as well as the Buster Sword Advanced Guide that's both out right now. You guys need to check those out ASAP because it will give you a dynamic look at what you're getting yourselves into, and spoiler free of course. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss out on more Crisis Core content and also Final Fantasy news. But there are also animation cancels, which can be used to speed up your DPS. We talk about it in those videos. And also, you can stun lock certain enemies with that. A Buster Sword stance that's entirely new to this game has been added. It did not exist before in the PSP version. You can see already they're fully testing out new mechanics that will almost for sure will be available for us to use in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, whenever that finally releases. Combat can get extremely deep thanks to the materia functions in this game. We have materia fusion, which can create some really overpowered compositions. But again, that'll be for another video. Seeing the combat is one thing, guys, but feeling it is a whole nother. You seriously need to play this game, especially if you played the original Crisis Core. I can't stress enough how much it'll blow your mind playing this remake. The Digital Mind Wave, or DMW, is unfortunately back in this game. It's a system that's so engraved into the life of the game that they could not simply rework or remove it. However, they were able to fine-tune the hell out of it and make it way less annoying and actually an enjoyable experience to the game. Seriously, it's a lot of fun and a welcomed addition to the game that no longer interrupts the flow of battles. The DMW always stays on the top left of the screen the whole time in Reunion. In the original game, it would stop combat and show up in the middle of the screen, really messing with the flow of things. But now in Reunion, it only spins to the top left and it never goes over the middle of the screen until it's about to show you a cutscene. And when the slots stop or trigger a limit break, you'll get a fully voiced cutscene that appears and can be quickly skipped with the triangle button almost seamlessly to go directly back into the combat. And my favorite thing about this, it does not automatically use the limit break this time around. You can actually store the limit break and save it to use it whenever you want with the triangle button. And the same goes for the summons too. By pressing L3 and R3 buttons later on, you can use your summon after you skip the animation. And you can even skip the summon animations too. And oftentimes, if you're in battle, some crazy stuff might be happening. Maybe a clutch moment might come up where you're running out of MP or you're about to die, and the DMW will trigger and give you invincibility or unlimited MP or unlimited MP and AP. It's really fun. I love how they actually just made this an enjoyable aspect of the game now. So rejoice, people who love to end battles with huge damaging limit breaks and summons. We can finally be back in control of that. You know, compared to Final Fantasy VII Remake, where enemy bosses could ignore damage that would trigger a cutscene. RIP. One very divisive upgrade and change to this game, which many are at odds with, comes down to the voice acting. Well, really, one particular element with it. We're all in agreement that having this game fully voiced is an outstanding and welcomed addition. All the voice actors do their best with the dated PSP dialogue options, and it's mind-blowing the effort that they really put into this game by fully voicing all areas of it that were previously just text-based cutscenes and adding in animations. I wish they could have updated the dialogue to today's standards, but that of course would require more work since the animations and lip syncing would be different, but everyone in the cast does a fantastic job with the voicing, and the one weak area we all can agree on, which does get better later on in the game, comes from none other than Zack's voice actor Caleb Pierce, which kind of sucks because you hear his voice all the time since you're playing as him. Attention, spoilers ahead for Final Fantasy VII Remake and Yuffie's Intermission DLC's ending. If you have not played those yet, I'm going to talk about a portion that happens after it. But at the end of Yuffie's Intermission DLC scenes with Zack, I felt that Caleb really started to sound much better than he did in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It wasn't really about how the voice sounded, but more so the delivery of certain lines. He felt a little bit more confident and more engulfed in the role. I felt that over time, as he gets to spend more time with the character, we can start to see all of it come together and get better. With Intermission being a great step in the right direction, Crisis Core Reunion does sort of fall back in some areas. However, the voice acting of Caleb picks itself back up later on. Very early on, Zack has lines that just don't sound great. But towards the middle of the game, and especially the end, it does get way better. Hopefully this is a trend going forward. Maybe it was Caleb settling in with the role, getting used to the tone required of Zack further in the story, or maybe it was on purpose to sort of give Zack that excited and eager attitude he's known to have earlier on. But either way, I don't think this should be the end of Caleb Pierce voicing Zack. After playing it for hours, it's really grown on me, and I'm looking forward to seeing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with newer dialogue that's up to date with today's standards and seeing how Caleb sounds then. I think he'll be able to hit his stride over there, having more time with the character and better understanding on his inflections, hopefully. But you know what's going to surprise you guys? A few weeks ago, I made a video completely shitting on a scene in Crisis Core, the Nibelheim flashback, where Genesis inserts himself into this scene, and it was one of the worst scenes in the original game for me personally. And I felt that it was sort of a shoehorn to force Genesis into the game, even though it is a bit of a gray area that Cloud doesn't really acknowledge or talk about, that they felt like they could have added more depth to it. However, I can confidently say that in Crisis Core Reunion, for some reason, I no longer feel that way. And that reason is the new voice actor for Genesis. He is amazing. He seriously takes the character to a more tolerable level. He's obviously still annoying, but that's the design behind the character, to be annoying. But shoutouts to the new voice actor, Sean Conde. They really knocked it out of the park. Genesis is a much more enjoyable character this time around. And now my second favorite voice actor in this game is none other than Cloud Strife's voice actor, Cody Christian. In Remake, it's no secret that Cloud is such an outstanding role, but in Crisis Core Reunion, we get to witness the younger voice of Cloud, pre-Soldier. Cody really nails this and adds to the impact of what happens in the game. I can't tell you guys enough how excited I am for Rebirth, but just know, I have a feeling these characters are going to go above and beyond what our expectations are. And last, I completely love what they did with the HUD, embracing the Final Fantasy VII Remake look, down to the icons, the battle texts, and even the character menu. It definitely feels like it ties the two games together a bit more in that way. And I can confidently say, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is a solid 8 out of 10 game. While it does retain some dated elements from the PSP era, Square Enix did a fantastic job elevating many areas of the game to make it a worthwhile purchase, and to make it actually feel fun to play and do combat in. Seriously, those 300 missions were an insane chore to do on PSP, but this time around, it's actually addicting. Myself and many others are constantly tweeting about it. Even people who previously disliked Crisis Core a lot on PSP are absolutely blown away by just how great the combat is and actually fun it is to pick up and play this game. Comment below any other questions you have about Crisis Core, and I promise I'll get back to you guys on that. Let's get a discussion going. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy VII videos are on the way, and you won't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.